Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to our audience, and thank you all for joining us today. The topic of this webinar is Ready, Set, Migrate, and we will talk to you about how you can get started on your digital transformation journey. Before we begin, we would like to thank Justco for being our partner for this event. Justco is currently Singapore's leading co-working space provider with more than 40 centers across 8 cities in Asia Pacific. They have a presence in Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, China, South Korea, Australia, and Taiwan. If you'd like to know more about Justco, you can check out their website and social media pages. Let me start by making a few housekeeping announcements. Please feel free to post your questions to us throughout the webinar, and our panelists will be able to answer them at the end of the session. Secondly, if you're logged in from your computer, you can choose your viewing options. We recommend a side-by-side view, and you'll see a bar between the slides and our panelists. You can bring that slide bar to the center of the screen for the best viewing experience. At the end of this webinar, we would appreciate if you could complete a short survey for us. A QR code will be flashed on your screens and will take just about a couple of minutes to fill. Thank you. We are now ready to start the webinar, and I invite our panelists to begin.
Hi. As we now start our webinar, please allow a quick introduction of ourselves and our company, Cloud Kinetics.
Hi, welcome. My name is Chirag and I am part of Cloud Kinetics since 2016. So my role is to helping businesses to drive their cloud roadmap, and whether it's a new initiative or the legacy application migration to the cloud. Apart from that, I am holding bunch of cloud certification, and I'm a regular contributor in multiple cloud communities where I am sharing about the new services, how a developer community can leverage to make their product and their services more efficiently.
Hi, I'm Alex. Over the past 20 years, I've been managing IT solutions, driving digital transformation across various industries, from working at SGH while under Microsoft, enterprise healthcare providers around Asia, insurance and construction companies. We hope our insights will be valuable to you as we fly you on a journey on cloud computing. We're going to cover our agenda now, so you have an overview of what you expect to have from this webinar.
So agenda of this talk is to share about what are the current challenges with the existing technology system we are facing and how the cloud is helping to mitigate all those challenges, and regardless of which stage your IT adoption is. We will going to talk about Industry 4.0, and everywhere we are hearing about digital transformation, and our point to share the thoughts is how cloud computing is going to accelerate your digital transformation journey. Also, we would like to share the use cases which realistically we have delivered to our customer and how they get the more productivity and transformation in their processes by adopting the cloud. And then few things we would like to share, which will be as an action item, that how anyone, any business can start their digital transformation journey. And there is some takeaway, the pro tips, which will make up you in the cloud game. So stay tuned to hear about the tips. And at the end, we will cover our Q&A. So that's our overall agenda for the next 50 to 60 minutes.
So as we talk about Cloud Kinetics, in this partnership with Justco, we have been established in Singapore since 2012. As a global company, we have 8 offices across the world with our 2 main delivery centers in India. We have established partnership with trusted cloud providers such as Amazon, which we hold the premier consulting partner, and we have recently been awarded with an incubator status to help deploy across the world cutting edge technologies. We are Microsoft Gold partner as well as an awarded partner by promoting the technology, and we are also a Google Cloud partner. We also enable other ISVs as we improve the adoption of cloud technology by bundling additional solutions to add value to our customers. With a large team of certified architects, SysOps and DevOps professionals and SMEs. We are here in Singapore with a talent pool of more than 70 cloud engineers, as well as an engagement-ready team ready to support local deployment. So now we're going to talk about a little bit what technology is contributing with the current challenges that we're facing with social distancing and working from home in this COVID era.
Especially these points are something which is we are facing on a daily basis. So first, we would like to highlight that are we still sending the attachment, the documents as an attachment in our email for up and fro communication and waiting for review or sign from the management?
Is your team doing productive collaboration during COVID distancing? There's a difference between just using Zoom for meetings as opposed to collaborating effectively.
Is your application and infrastructure is facing downtime, whether you are running your legacy application or something new build initiative? So these are the common things which we are seeing and facing on a daily basis.
A lot of your business decisions, data-driven with dashboards, with the importance of management and BI and KPIs, a lot of businesses faces the challenge of not being able to have accurate live insights on how the operation is going. So as we move forward with these questions and these challenges, we have created a little poll that will pop up on your screen. And if you can answer, so we have an idea of our audience and where we are in terms of cloud adoption in your business. So the question is, are you efficiently leveraging many cloud technologies in your business? So I'll give you some time so that you can answer, and then we can pull the poll results here on the screen. Let me open my chat window here. Let's see if we already have the results of our poll done live here. Okay, so we have a 50-50 scenario. 56% of our audience says yes, they're leveraging many technologies, but the other half pretty much still not leveraging many cloud technologies. So this webinar will give you some insights on how you can move forward in adopting more technology in your cloud practice, in your business. So in this section, we would like to cover some information that will help you in adopting new technologies. So for instance, in this digital transformation area, why this is a new standard? Why are we talking so much everywhere on social media, LinkedIn, newspapers? Digital transformation is indeed the new standard, and we will be covering where this cloud sits in this digital transformation. What are the cloud adoption pillars, and where is your cloud maturity journey? As we know, we have 44% of people who are still not fully leveraging cloud technologies. And lastly, what are the benefits of the cloud that can help this current crisis in this urgency of adopting a digital transformation?
So now let's talk about, because every day we are talking about the newer, latest and greatest technology like IoT, edge computing, machine learning, artificial intelligence, but somehow it comes from the great advancement happened few centuries ago. So in the late 18th century, which was known as a industry 1.0, with the invention of steam and water, steam engine, the trade become easy, the manufacturing, the mass production become easy, and moving those mass production goods from one place to another become easy, and it is known as the trade revolution. Then in 20th century, the main driver of this industrial revolution is electrical energy, which make the things more smaller, more compact, but much more efficient and faster. The communication become much easy. The previously which take weeks to months, it become few days. And we again are seeing few decades ago in the 20th century with the invention of integrated circuit, all the computing devices, the powerful computation become essential part of our daily life, which is making our businesses, our daily life much easy, much faster. And now we are entering in the era of digital transformation, and industry 3 become our internet transformation, which now we are leveraging, and it is putting a base of our industry 4.0.
So as we go along on this digital transformation, in Industry 4.0, we have the rise of complete new different systems that sets the pave to what we call the data revolution. So this is where cyber systems take place, Internet of Things with the rollout of 5G, cloud computing, for instance, cognitive computing, also known as artificial intelligence and machine learning, as well as biotech symbiosis. So to many, this future sounds like sci-fi, but as we take the adoption further, the companies who are the early adopters of this technology are able to revolutionize the way they do business and shift from Industry 3.0 to make Industry 4.0 a reality. So as we cover this transition, I would like to highlight some economic growth principles which are really relevant as to why digital transformation is so critical in these times. So every business wants to stay alive, wants to avoid downtime, many companies going through shutdowns, and we are thinking how to continue growth and business continuity. So there are two main aspects about this growth principle. We need to understand what is the catalyst that allows this growth forward, and what are inhibitors that pulls us back in times of crisis. As we spoke in the area of data revolution, it's very important to understand that what drives these growth principles is how inputs and outputs, as well as data processing, is managed. We might have forgotten, but there is a fundamental law of nature by the laws of thermodynamics that energy is never created and never destroyed. It's always transformed. And when we think about businesses, it's all about how we convert inputs and outputs, creating the conversion of energy into goods and services. We could take an example of an attorney who has to produce some documents, get it signed, and bring it over. When we think about old technologies, imagine you still having to mail this document over the post, having to request people to sign this document. And in an analogy, there's a complete different approach if you use superior technology. By implementing digital certificates with electronic signatures, you can see how nature itself, in the thermodynamics, the conversion of energy happens so much more efficiently because there's a lot better, higher aggregate efficiency. We don't lose effort by enabling these new technologies in our operation. Lastly, we all know that KPIs is very important in these economic factors by understanding what are the indicators of quality and metrics of your business. A lot of people manage their companies, but the fundamental concept of managing, which we follow the golden rules of the 3 M's of management, which is monitor, first measure, then monitor, then manage. So in order to be able to monitor, you need to measure, and to measure, you need reports. That's where data-driven decisions are so important to be able to have predictive forecasts. If you're not into this era of using advanced reports, it will compromise the way you drive the growth of productivity, the way you improve installed capacity, as well as your ecological footprint. So let's talk about the inhibitors. We as humans, we are always afraid of change. Change management is an important barrier across any adoption, from businesses to people, to organizations, to countries. And understanding that this is our way of adopting allows us to have to set a better path to tackle this new data revolution. Another inhibitor is having a leadership that has a narrow vision towards change. We all fear change, but if you have a leader that pushes change, then this leadership allows the rest of the team to be more comfortable with adopting new technologies. Another inhibitor is also social and political. Some companies, some industries allow you to have all your information on the cloud, some not. From my background, working with many hospitals, there's still a delicate point of patient privacy that is still into this phase of adoption towards putting the data on the cloud. And of course, we all know that switching from a typewriter to a computer requires significant costs, and this may not be accounted in your budget. But understanding it as you plan forward the transition towards new technologies, you're able to catapult your economic growth. And lastly, there is an organizational and downtime fear by switching from one operandum sort of working to a new one. So throughout this process, as we walk backwards, we can see that if you want to have productivity, if you want to have installed capacity improve with a better ecological footprint, then you need to measure, monitor, and manage your data better, improve your higher aggregate efficiency throughout the conversion of services and goods in your business, use better technology so that you work smarter instead of harder. And in this webinar, we would like to focus on cloud computing as one of the gold entries of use of superior technology.
So let's talk about first cloud computing, and we will see what kind of phases are there in the cloud adoption and how from your IT phases, how you can adopt and mature your cloud journey. So cloud is nothing but it is owning physical infrastructure and hardware by the player who have run and have the proven method to run at a scale, and it is revolutionizing the industry by changing the pricing model and the way we are utilizing the computation power. So cloud, because being as a human, we are getting impatient. 10 years ago, it was not the scenario that we need to wait. We are expecting that everything or even a small website or web page will open in milliseconds or nearby second. 10 seconds was expected, and we were adapted at that time. But nowadays we are getting more and more impatient. We want to increase the footprint. We want to reach in the bigger market as quickly as possible. So their cloud is helping with their global footprint, be it any cloud provider and the market player. They all are covering all the geographic area where we can start our business as quickly as possible. So here I'm going to share about the few layers of the cloud adoption, because here we are not going to touch any physical thing. It is not that we are going to own and purchase any hardware, set it in our physical location. It is something to provided to us via a web interface and web services. So first layer is infrastructure as a service. Let's say you have your legacy application or your previous hosted application, be it in your in-house or some other hosting provider. You want to adopt the cloud power. So you can do the lift and shift without making too much of changes. You can easily adopt the virtual machine, the same kind of networking, and the familiar operating system. So that is the first layer. If you already have something in your in-house and it is running, the next step come into platform as a service. It is something that if we don't want to play with any operating system configuration, we are looking that, because operating system configuration can be time consuming, the installation of binary will take time. But if we are looking for that everything will pre-installed and we are just looking for few configuration and out of the box it will come into picture, we don't need to worry about the patching and how the scalability underneath it is happening. Nowadays, due to the current situation, this new layer is getting very traction. So desktop as a service. Nowadays, hiring is not stopped. People are getting hired, but as we are following the lockdown and work from home culture, so though the employee need to have the same accessibility roles what other employers according to their team. So desktop as a service. So cloud is giving that agility rather than sending the devices to the employee house. Desktop as a service is giving the opportunity to employee onboarding in just a matter of a few hours to minutes even, and the employee will have the same accessibility what other teammates have. The another thing is software as a service, or it's called as a subscription as a service. It is something we all are interacting every day. Just giving an example of our email boxes. Those are out of the box, everything managed by the email provider. We just have some flexibility to change the custom themes or some fonts, but we are not going to change the overall experience of their underneath layer. So software as a service, when it comes out of the box, we are just playing with the service. We will, if it comes into the paid subscription, we will pay only for whatever we are going to use, and very straightforward pricing model. So just to share about these four layers, it is not only these four layers, but more and more layers with the cloud providers are coming as a service, where they cloud provider are taking all the responsibilities for managing, so that we as a business will focus on our business logic and our growth, rather than thinking to acquire the hardware, managing, setting up, because human capital as well as the hardware and software license capital will be required. So most of the things now becoming as a service. So this term, everything as a service, is now getting more and more traction in the market, because there is some de facto that we are interacting or integrating with most of the different service provider using their API integration. It is reducing our manageability cost, and it is delivering the benefits of cloud.
Okay, so now you're getting a better picture of how cloud is divided and the many layers of cloud utilization. So let's cover what are the benefits of the cloud and how this crisis creates urgency in adoption. So the first direct benefit is reducing the on-staff dependency. A lot of companies still have servers on their premises. You still need to go on site to do backups and maintain your hardware. So as you move your servers to the cloud, no longer you require physical presence to go into the company's premises. That reduces your overhead and allows better management remotely.
The biggest benefit of cloud is the way it is proposing the pricing. Rather than thinking about the capital expenditure, we are following the operation expenditure and simply call as a renting on demand. So we are following the nature of the capacity, the computation power which is required to complete the task. According to that, we will get charged, and rather than purchasing the hardware in a big capital expenditure or upfront payment and setting up in your premises and managing all the software licensing. So cloud is optimizing the cash flow according to the growth and requirement of a business.
So as my colleague Chirag mentioned at the previous point, as you drive your business into this on-demand model of OpEx, you have direct impact in reducing the total cost of ownership of your IT infrastructure. So not only you no longer have to pay for maintenance contracts that have to be renewed with your physical hardware provider, but also allows you to plan the way you budget your expenses in IT as you spread these services on a monthly subscription basis.
So collaboration becomes much easy as with the power of cloud. Everything becomes centralized rather than sending mail attachment, waiting for a response, which we mentioned in our challenge. If everyone is collaborating on the same time, on the same document, it will be much more productive. The response, the feedback loop will be more faster than ever. And if again, presenting the current situation, we all are working remotely, and cloud is giving that opportunity to connect simultaneously, seamlessly on the centralized work location.
And like I mentioned in our economic growth principle, as you adopt better technology, you can reduce your overall fixed costs, and that allows you to preserve your business, avoid bankruptcy, and keep your company afloat during these times of crisis. So as we move forward, we'd like to share some use cases on how cloud technology allowed companies to improve their operation through our success stories.
So this is the customer which belongs to the manufacturing sector, and it's not a new, it's like around 3 to 4 decade old organization who are running their core business business with their platform, and they can't take a longer downtime, and there are some inertia which they need to which they consider while presenting or thinking that why they need to adopt a cloud, because of the buying regular hardware which comes with a cost, and because it's a business critical, their business is totally dependent upon their this core business application. They need to set up their disaster recovery and high availability to make sure that all the users, all the business processes are running smoothly. For that, they need to purchase the hardware, as well as it comes with the licensing cost. Rather than it's a single hardware, they need to make sure they have a double or triple to maintain the high availability and disaster recovery, as well as limited resources is kind of inertia which they need to think, because buying the hardware is a time consuming process. So if some new application, some new module need to be tested, it is very time taking, and they are not into very agile methodology, and the overall productivity was very less if the employees is at a remote location. So what momentum, what benefit they get from by adopting the cloud? We as a Cloud Kinetics, we help them to quickly create the POC, show them the benchmark about their core business application, that what kind of roadmap will be there, and with very less changes, it is lift and shift as in cloud, because it's a custom proprietary business software, nothing to do with the too much of cloud native thing, but as the infrastructure as a service layer, giving us the opportunity to have full access of our operating system, our network design. We showed them the first benchmark, and then we designed their roadmap, that how their production will move, and it took a lesser time as even we planned, and we showed them the 3-year TCO prior to start the production migration. But it helped because cloud is having the more powerful network out of the box. It reduced their latency from the primary side to secondary side for the DR, and DR we follow some patterns, the industry proven pattern, that pilot light, warm standby. So we are following to save the cost, rather than running the same level of infrastructure on the secondary side. We were running the lower infrastructure, which drastically reduced their cost. And even as this is a cloud, all the remote user is able to enter to the system securely. This is a kind of use case, a different level, whether it's a mature industry or whether the legacy system, anyone can adopt the cloud, because all those layers are giving the flexibility or the room to enter into the world of cloud.
Okay, so the next use case we'd like to cover is from one of our customers in the airline industry, one of the biggest airline industries, and they had as their challenge this inertia holding them back, where they had to manage their frequent flyer program in a very interesting manner by allowing their customers to convert this mileage into purchasing power with their partners. So as you fly, you acquire the mileage, and then you can convert this into real money and buying things across the list of partners. So as we go and we understand their needs, the data that was spread across various systems allowed this difficulty in being able to produce dashboards and have an idea of how their basis was being spread across all the different regions of the globe. So how did Cloud Kinetics help them connect all the dots? When we created a centralized data lake, we were able to get the data from all sorts of systems and combine them in a manner where business owners could not only have access to any device, but also having live collaboration in order to be able to take decisions based on these metrics. Without the cloud, it would be impossible to have their offices across the world being able to have access to this repository of data. Not only we ingested the data, cleaned the data in order to create these reports, but we also allow modules of data analytics to start training machine learning neural networks to be able to give forecasted insights. This allows a direct reduction in their cost of operation by creating dashboards that no longer rely on on-premises facility and enable direct access from the cloud.
So this is one of my favorite near to my heart case study. So this customer belonged to the media industry and they are having their OTT platform over the top, like we are using every day to watch our seasons. So they also have their platform and they adopt their, they host their platform on the cloud from last couple of years, but they adopt the power of cloud or power of desktop on the cloud very early before waiting for the current situation. So because most of their users are remote and those are editor, those people need the powerful access to access the data and process the data, because we all understand about the video processing is a very computational intensive job and it needs some kind of connectivity integration with their line of business application, their ERP, as well as all the data of their employee as well as the actors. So rather than following buying any existing any hardware and expensive license for video processing, they adopt the cloud approach, and Cloud Kinetics help them to set up their desktop, powerful desktop, which is having the GPU enablement on cloud, and all the integration, all the authentication become the central one, and with the same username and password, all of their users are able to access their desktop as well as their core system. And another, with the existing situation, it is easy for them to scale to provide the desktop to all of their other employees rather than previously, which was a very small group of people, because the system is already built and it is just a matter of few days to integrate and provide and deliver the desktop, rather than purchasing the new hardware, or people will take the desktop or laptop devices to their home. Everything becomes centralized, keeping monitored securely who is having what access. So this is solving a problem and reducing a lot of cost buying new hardware and software.
Okay, so we have another use case scenario that we'd like to cover. So what was the business challenge in this situation? Imagine you would like to, when as a company, you have these little stamps that every time your customer comes, you would like to chop and says, okay, after coming 10 times, you actually have a freebie. So imagine trying to do this on a virtualized environment. How can you make it transparent, this loyalty program that you would have with your customers, so that whatever you chop, it's transparent to both the companies as well as the provider. So one of our customers had to manage this loyalty program, but their challenge was, how can we make it in a way that this virtual membership program is managed in a way that it's not breakable in a sense of being cheated, either from both sides. So how we allowed, how Cloud Kinetics helped them create this transparency. Blockchain is a technology that actually auto-regulates itself. And by enabling blockchain technology in the cloud, we allowed the main provider to have transparency on how they would capture this loyalty program, and customers could see exactly what they have. Without cloud technologies, it would be impossible to be able to create this transparency of auto-regulation, allowing integrity on each layer without with each layer with the centralized repository. So as we build this infrastructure for them, their blockchain would show every step on the way of the mileage program in the loyalty of their customers, as well as improving how the company would allocate costs to create this transparency. If you would have to do this on premises, the cost will be much higher. But as this whole infrastructure of blockchain was built on the cloud, you can manage it a lot more effectively, improving your total cost of ownership. So this is one insight of how you can completely revolutionize the way you interact with your customers and the way you create this relationship on the cloud. So we're going to go for a quick poll here.
Yes. So yeah, quick poll. So it will be pop up on your screen. So you can choose one of the four options. How mature is your cloud adoption, current cloud adoption? So we'll wait for a couple of seconds to get some responses, and then these are the four options. You have a local server and use some cloud-based solution, or you are operationally mostly on cloud, but basic backup DR, mostly on cloud, but limited to your BI dashboard for data-driven decision. And you have a plan to roll out your full-fledged digital transformation journey on cloud by utilizing the cloud platforms. So let's see the responses. So the most of the people goes around the option A, that most of the people are having the local server, but still you and using some cloud-based solution. Rest is the like a 20-20 kind of a ratio. So let's see that how you can adopt or start your digital transformation journey by utilizing the cloud platform.
Okay. So as we can see here from our attendees, 60% still in the early stage of adoption. We have some people, 20%, on a stage where you have your data, and we don't have anybody yet on the mature adoption. So if we had to roll a roadmap on how to adopt this cloud maturity, how can we define these steps? So the first step is where you provision your on-premises servers so that you understand your current infrastructure. What is physical in my company? Do I have backups? Do I have specific storage on site? Am I still dependent on hard drives? As you understand the provisional aspect of your physical infrastructure, you move to the second stage of the cloud maturity journey, where you start virtualizing not only the hardware, but as well as your applications. So as you move away from using Excel spreadsheets to manage tasks, you start using applications like Monday.com, Trello, and moving away from monolithic applications where you use a server and database architecture towards a PaaS, platform as a service, like we mentioned on a previous slide. This allows a series of automations because the backup is done automatically, the disaster recovery is done automatically. The next step is when you consider yourself a cloud-ready operation where all your apps are already moving on the cloud, all your services are already on service, software as a service. You're improving your delivery cycle of your software. If you are, example, a company that has your own IP and you are enabling your customers through a specific type of software, and you improve as well the way you collaborate. So remote connectivity is not just by doing Zoom calls or using Google Meet, it's by understanding how workspace streaming works. And that brings us to the last level of your cloud adoption maturity, where by having all your operation running remotely, including your dashboards, that allows you to monitor and take data-driven decisions, you are then completely optimized for cloud usage. So now that we have laid out all the layers of cloud, now that we have laid out all the stages, how do we start? If you are either in the middle of your adoption or you have just started using cloud, how do we move forward? So let's cover this in 7 steps of starting your cloud journey.
Yes, as Alex explained about the maturity and the different layer, so all these layers will somehow related with this 6R strategy. So we call it as an industry metric of cloud migration, 6R cloud migration strategy. Whether it will be a cloud native, we can start building our application on cloud directly by building the dev and stage environment, or if we have the existing application which we want to move to cloud, it will be part of rehost or replatform strategy. Refactor is something to building a cloud native again, and repurchase is something if we really not looking to do right now, but maybe we will start our production on the primary side, but backup DR on the cloud side. And retire is something we have a mature roadmap, and we are going to shut down our on-premises or our local environment or our primary site, and everything will work on cloud. And retain is something that we need to maintain our existing infrastructure, but gradually move to the cloud and then make cloud as a primary, and this previous site become the secondary. So these are the strategies which need to consider before starting any cloud adoption and the digital transformation journey by using cloud. So because these factors or the strategy will make sure how the cloud journey or digital transformation is going to accelerate.
Okay, so we have gone through the first step. As you do your 6R strategy assessment in your operation, the second step in starting your cloud journey is to prioritize the infrastructure that is going through end of life. You may have a hardware in the form of a server, whether it's running your financial system or running your ERP system, or you may have a storage where you keep all your data through shared drives in your on-premises. And because you have done already this investment, at some point you would have to replace them. So instead of purchasing new hardware, upgrading your disk, or increasing your storage capacity, it's wiser to prioritize those that are already running out of warranty and start setting the urgency with those that are expiring first.
As mentioned about the 6R strategy, we need to plan about migrating our physical hardware storage to the cloud so that we will focus on the business logic and the growth and expansion of a business rather than managing the infrastructure, putting more and more capital expenditure here to build the infrastructure, because cloud is giving us a near infinite unlimited capacity, and we will only get charged for what we are going to utilize. And at any point of time we can scale whether increase or decrease. That is the agility, and that is the quick power come into the hand of the businesses.
Okay, so you have done your assessment. You have decided which part of your infra moves goes to the cloud. You have actively moved your server and your storage to the cloud. And what's next? Here comes security. Being able to comply with all regulation is a very important step in your cloud journey. When you work on site, many companies don't enforce specific securities with their staff. A lot of people still using password 1234 ABC. So you do not want to have such type of loosening security on the cloud. So make sure as you move your storage and your service to the cloud, you follow specific guidelines of security and compliance to stay safe and avoid downtime through hacking.
So digital transformation is not only about adopting the cloud platform and the latest and greatest technology, but upskilling the people, because people comes first. After that, all those business and technology came into picture. Unless our staff, our members, our colleagues are not getting skilled, it will be tough to complete the roadmap of digital transformation journey for any business. So we really need to focus to put the effort to upskill our staff, our people, so that they will get adapt to learn the new business, because learning is always a continuous curve. It is not a one stop. So upskilling is one of the most important step in any digital transformation and cloud journey.
Okay, so now we move to our sixth step to start your cloud journey. Like we mentioned before in our economic growth principle slide, without having dashboards, it's impossible to measure, monitor, and manage effectively. So if you do have already some sort of BI in your operation, moving into the cloud allows you to reduce your costs and improve the real time of those reports. This is so important nowadays that even the Singapore government has started a new line of credit of 5,000 Singapore dollars for every company to start doing data mining and data analytics. Not only We are having subsidies to provide adoption of online payments, pay now, and use of newer technologies. But data mining and dashboards is another front of innovation that allows you to improve your data-driven decisions. So make sure you have this in your roadmap to take your business intelligence and analytics forward on the cloud.
So with more power, more responsibility came into picture. As cloud is giving us unlimited scale, a powerful network, we need to make sure the human error will be lesser, and with the power of or the tool set of automation or making the processes getting automated, it will be the helpful for making our success digital transformation journey with adopting the cloud with the power of cloud. Simply giving example of taking a backup on premises, we need to keep always eye that the backup area is not getting overloaded and we will have enough capacity. But on the cloud, it is as nearly infinite. So we just need to make sure that we are automated properly, and then the process will start easily and we can have a easy work life.
Okay, so the first step, let's move into this other slide that we've done. Yes, so here we have our 5 pro tips that we'd like to share. These are direct action items that you can consider in using as soon as you end this webinar, and start sharing with your team, your staff, and into your own practice to improve your collaboration. So the first step, the first take 5 from CK that we'd like to share with you is start using collaborative applications to allow you to reduce attachments, reduce the use of email, and improve your productivity with Stream Workspaces. It's very important now that you understand with your team that by sending files through email and not using live collaborations through either Office 365 or G Suite, you are being a lot less productive. People who are collaborating and editing a file on the fly together, either from their tablet, from their phone, or from their computer, and finishing the work in a smarter way as opposed to a hard-working way.
One step is always giving a pain that how to move to the cloud if I have some legacy system and it is not same compatible with the cloud platform. So now cloud is solving the problem by giving the cloud native tool which will analyze the legacy infrastructure as application, whether some older application stack, and it will make the work easy without putting too much of human effort and human error. So another, like it is also something that can be used to set up a quick disaster recovery site on cloud without putting too much of human effort, and because there is always a chance of human error if we will put more effort. So the automation is also a key, and cloud native tools is giving that in our hands easily.
So the third pro tip that we'd like to share is a lot of people among the 60% who already have some sort of cloud adoption. We recommend you to move forward in your journey by replacing your current VMs using container technologies, microservices, serverless technologies. That allows you to distribute the risk, improve your uptime, and use the ready, built-in, out-of-the-box cloud managed platforms. This may be either the way you develop software or the way you use your current database. These can be shifted from VMs into this new layer on the cloud journey.
Security is something a very big area, and it is something most talkable area when we talk about a cloud. Most of the cloud providers are giving out of the box encryption for the data which as a business or as a customer we are going to add, but as CK we recommend to use the encryption key by utilizing the key services on cloud, because it will give us the flexibility to change the key, to rotate the key, and we can assign the permission who can access of decrypting and encrypting data and who can modify the key. So it will give a more clear visibility as well as adding a extra layer of security. of the data on cloud.
And here we go. We have our last and fifth pro tip for you. I'm rephrasing this again, how important it is to have your metrics, your BI reports. So if you do already have any sort of management reports in your operation, replicate this data analytics platform on the cloud. Not only will increase the speed at which your reports can be generated, but it will also allow you to start using a whole new set of features with dashboards and comparison, as well as, like we mentioned before, implementing models of AI to help you with your data-driven decisions. So now we're going to have a little bit of our Q&A, where we allow you guys to share some insights from your side and how you have absorbed the content in this webinar. So we will open it for Q&A, and we will be checking our chat window to be able to answer these questions. So please go ahead.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Chirag. Okay, we have our first question here. What's the difference between working from home and cloud collaboration? How do you differentiate between the two?
Okay, so in a nutshell, when you are at home, the hardware that you use is not exactly the same as a computer they would have at the office. So some people think that by working from home, connecting to your computer and doing Zooms and Google Meets, for instance, or Microsoft Teams, you're already working remotely. This is the first step of adoption. Live collaboration goes much beyond that. As an example, in fundamental differences, is your storage well architected on the cloud so that you don't have to download any file on your computer? The first thing that allows real collaboration. Second is, are you editing files on the fly on the live simultaneous collaboration? Is your software being streamed on a standardized workspace so that whether you have a weak laptop at home or an old computer or a different version of Windows, this experience of working on your corporate environment is the same? This is what truly is live collaboration. So make sure that you step forward in just basically working from home and adopting effective stream and digital workspace on the clouds.
Yeah, just to add in the Alex sentences, so it's collaboration is something that because every business is becoming now the IT shop, because IT is now a key essential part of or involved in every business. And we are living in the era of known as DevOps, and we want our business processes become more agile. So the tools are there. It's all about that how we are going to adapt and improve the business process as well as the productivity, regardless of whether we are sitting in office or home. Yeah.
Okay. The next question that has just come in is, at our company, everything is on the cloud. What's the next step in their cloud adoption journey?
Sure, sir. I would like to take that first. Like, it is something that if you're already on cloud, so cloud is giving a tool set and the services which is covering a different aspect of all the business processes. Let's say taking an example of you have just moved your infrastructure. So it is something like we can, let's say, consider this as a lift and shift, and your application is running fine, you are collecting your data, but cloud is giving you the quick enablement to process your data to see the insights, because data is the new oil, and what kind of insights you can grab from those data from your first step, and this becomes the insight, or getting this BI dashboarding is the next step. Then the newer technology or newer world, ML and AI come into picture. We come into the predictive phase and then prescriptive phase. So this is how the next step of your cloud adoption journey can be, depend upon your business call, but data is a new oil. We need to consider how quickly we can enable and how we can churn the data quickly to get or improve or get back to our business to improve the processes. Any thoughts, Alex?
No, I think we covered it.
Okay, great. We'll just take one question again. Any tips or suggestions for companies who are just new to the e-learning industry? let's say, like how you can we integrate and execute this kind of innovation effectively?
Okay, so this is an interesting question. As we move into this e-learning era, allowing students from across the world, when you create content, you want to make sure that there is no delay in the way you produce these videos. There is no issue with connectivity. You have the right security into place. So I think the best way that you can integrate this is first make sure that you have proper risk mitigation in terms where you have deployed these technology across various regions. You don't want a user from one country to be feeling that the e-learning platform is slow. So architecting a solution that works on various reasons would be the first step in making sure that your learning experience is well conducted. And another way is by making sure that security is done in a good way so that the accounts, the way customers would pay for this e-learning material is done in a standardized and governed fashion.
Yes, just to, I would like to add the thought here, as it's an e-learning industry, and if you want to innovate and integrate, so there is out of the box AI services came into picture, which can help to build your platform and go to market strategy more quicker than ever, because we all want to deliver the best user experience to our customers. So you can utilize the AI services out of the box, which will be easily integrate your e-learning platform, and the user experience can be much more real time, giving example of some kind of natural language processing to understand how the students are behaving and what kind of lecture experience they are having. So there are a lot of things it can be done, and it is just a start of a journey.
Thank you, guys. One more question that has just come in is, to access DaaS, desktop as a service, do we still need a laptop or desktop?
Yes, it can be, because the whole purpose of desktop as a service for the business is to give the employee the centralized access and the same single sign-on or same username password to access the internal application, because web is a one world, but apart from that there are a lot of business applications which are not exposed to web. So to access it securely, desktop as a service become now as a mainstream. Yes, again, it is not a powerful laptop or desktop required. It may something that you have some older generation of laptop, but rather than now business think that rather than purchasing the hardware and operating system license, go with the desktop as a service, which will give the cloud taste of pay as you go with the powerful configuration. A client need to be installed on the local desktop or laptop, and it will connect seamlessly.
So on this question specifically, I'd like to add a real case scenario. One of our customers is a design company, architectural company, and their engineers need to work from home. Some of these applications, they require heavy processing power and memory. So desktop as a service would be, you would stream what the same view that you would have instead of sitting in your office, you would have that on your laptop. So imagine a window, like a virtual environment, that you can use all these applications without having to have them installed in your laptop. That is why we call it desktop as a service or stream workspaces. If you would have to send a powerful computer to every one of your architects, imagine the cost of the company to keep that infrastructure when these services are idle once you turn off your laptop, because the hardware is still there. But when you have these desktop as a service implemented in your company, you have the concept of pay as you go. So you only need the heavy processing power to run your architecture software once you log in. The moment your staff finish that session, the service is no longer being billed. That is a complete change through in the way companies operate and teams collaborate remotely.
Also security, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
also provides a secure way of connecting remotely to your desktop.
Yes.
Security is already taken into consideration by the provider, right?
Yes. So that is what I cover, like with the centralized integration of other line of business application.
Yes.
So because we don't need to install everything. And another beautiful thing about this desktop as a service is it can be accessed via browser. It don't need to, it's not required to install some heavy client on our, again, old generation laptop or desktop. It can be accessed seamlessly from the browser, and same user experience is getting delivered.
Perfect. Moving on to the next question. What is the average cost to modernize an application?
Okay. So like Chirag mentioned, and we covered in our previous slide, there are various forms to adopt cloud. You may have an intermediate form where you don't require global access 24 hours, and your operation is not so critical that you need 99.99999 of uptime. So elements like this and choices that define these parameters in your architecture will affect the price. But in general, you can modernize your application from a $5,000 consultancy project all the way to a $50,000, depending if you are a big bank, like one of our customers who is a bank, and we have to revamp their entire operation. So adopting cloud technology not necessarily is expensive. You can start on an intermediate approach and evolve in terms of complexity and elaboration as you move forward. So we can help you and hold hands in the beginning and as you progress. And this is what will define the cost.
Yes.
Thanks, Alex. There's a question about data breaches and how they can be prevented, and how can you manage security on cloud?
Sure,
So
it's like one of my favorite.
yeah.
favorite
So working from the hospital environment, I'll take this security question.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
You can start.
So there are some industries that are highly regulated. For instance, banking and healthcare. What happens is, in order to be able to make people comfortable in adopting cloud technology, providers like Microsoft Azure, AWS, and Google, they had to develop a very solid and robust layer of security. We call this the encryption keys that allows data to be able to be unbreached. So for instance, the way encryption is put into your online banking allows you to do these connections with tokens and two-factor authentication. Once these providers enable these technologies out of the blocks, you no longer need to worry so much. So as long as you understand how to deploy these features correctly, the security is already enabled into place. That's the importance of having a partner or an IT team who is very well versed with cloud technologies, so that you follow these guidelines so that your cloud practice is governed in a secure fashion and you don't need to worry about the underlayers of technicalities.
Yeah, just to add, like security is the most common ask whenever any cloud discussion are happening. So cloud is giving, as it is coming as a web service to us. So there is a form which we need to follow, is called shared responsibility model. It's not only about one thing, encryption, but how we are getting used, or how our users are using it. We need to have a proper logging mechanism and monitoring mechanism, which can give us a near real time or even the real time alert if someone is trying to access some restricted data, and we can take a action. Again, the event driven security is possible nowadays with the cloud platform. If anything happens, someone is trying to access which is he or she is not supposed to, some kind of trigger will happen and it will block the access. So security can be managed on each and every layer. It's not only about encryption or data at rest, but a network security, operating system binary security, or our application vulnerability on a regular or the frequent vulnerability testing required. So security can be covered each and every layer, from the user behavior to the data access to the operating system to the network.
Great.
Yes.
We'll take one last question for this session. How long does it take to migrate my infra to the cloud?
We're going to give an example of one of our customers that had almost 200 VMs. If, depending on the workload, this project can take from 2 days all the way to 2 months. So it really depends on how big your infrastructure is. But usually, from a SMB perspective, our projects last 2 weeks. So within 2 weeks, you can have a prototype environment POC, a testing, and then a go live. So actually it's a fairly quick project, and you should be able to see the results in a blink of an eye.
Yes. And as we shared in our presentation also, using that cloud native tool, so it will give us some kind of estimate timeline also, depend upon what kind of bandwidth required and bandwidth is available, and we will have some visibility about the timelines.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Chirag. With this, I think for now we will close this Q&A, and we'll bring this session to a close. But if any of you have any more questions, please don't hesitate. You can send your questions to us at contact@cloud-kinetics.com, and we'll do our best to answer them. You can also tell us your specific requirement, and we can just set up a quick call and go through your requirement along with you and give you the right direction for your digital transformation needs. Again, thanks for joining us today. Please help us to fill a quick survey for our partners JustCo by scanning the QR code that is on your screen right now, so that we can know what is your feedback about this webinar, and it can help us plan more events for you.